You are going to go and start a family, but you do it in California. Why not back in Oregon?
Hmm. Well, I remember after we got married, I started feeling because when I went to college, I just kind of assumed I'd go back to Oregon. Like I didn't really think, oh, I'm going to stay in California, that kind of thing. But I married a almost native California, and he was born in a different state. But um, I always kind of thought I want to go back, and that's where my side of the family is and
Mm.
everything. But then we had, church and community and college friends. Like, this was life for us. And so, and my husband had a full-time job, which he's now the owner of that business. So it's pretty cool, just to see that. But yeah, it just, we prayed and we were like, well, if we should go to Oregon, be closer to family, let's do that. But Cameron's family was down here too.
Mm.
So, it was a hard decision, but we ended up, staying down here and making the most of making trips up to Oregon. And they come down here too. So that's been, a real blessing. But it's been hard. I think for the family to not, I'm like
And
the only one that's left
mm,
Oregon. And I think I've struggled with feeling guilty for that,
mm,
but I've had to ultimately release that, and even the hurt that has incurred, of like, oh, I wish she had come back, like I've had to release that because if I carry that, it's crippling,
right.
because
It's kind of feeling like you have this puzzle and one piece is gone,
yeah.
but you can always just put the piece back,
Yeah, and
You know?
we make the most of it,
Yeah.
we really do, but it is hard. And to this day it's still
I mean, it'd be hard
still
for either
hard.
side, but I'm
Yeah.
curious now. Do you feel like now that you have started this family and have kids, do
Hmm.
you feel like um, that they miss out on things, or it's still pretty? This that your kids feel like they're still like a part. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, like with family out of state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes and no. When we do go up there, we'll stay for like almost a month, so we like do life,
Right, right,
the
right.
nitty gritty, like all the stuff. And so in that way, I feel like we really get to do life with each other.
Mm,
But it's the ballet recital or the piano recital. It's like, the little things that out of state family isn't able to be there for.
sure,
That's hard, I think. Or, I wish I could just go, shopping with my mom today. You know what I
sure,
mean? Things like that. But
sure.
I feel like we make the best out of when we're together, and make it a priority. So,
And you you kind of you go all in when you do things, right?
yeah.
Being a mother, like how's that experience been?
Yeah. I mean, all in, it's like but I've been a stay-at-home mom for 12 years now because our oldest is 12.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I didn't really look forward to like, what's it going to look like, when they're 12 or whatever, but it's just been a year by year adventure to see kind of where we're at. But yeah, I love being a mom. It's been one of the biggest blessings of my life.
And being a mother, you're obviously like you deal with different personalities.
Hmm.
Working with children when you were in college, right?
Hmm.
Working with like you said 3 and 4th graders, I
Yeah.
think, right? And then also going to Laverne and working with those students,
Hmm.
right? And then also going to us in high school.
Hmm.
Do you feel like that really? Not only did you feel like you learned 2 things: one, how to teach and do music, but also how to kind of do child development in the well. Do
Yeah,
you feel like that helped you for this kind of like mother kind of role that you play now?
definitely. And it's funny because we homeschool our kids right
Oh,
now.
okay.
So, I mean, we did from the beginning and we just take each year, as it is. We just say, okay, what's the need of each kid? And yeah, so it's a real blessing that, all of the training I received to be a teacher, like I'm able to use and pour into my kids. And not that you need that. I don't believe, like every homeschool mom needs that training at all, but it's been a blessing, I think, for my kids to be able to bless them with that, education that I
I mean, I've
received.
been around them, and even for like an hour, it's like just how well behaved, just how much energy they have, just how happy they are. Like sincerely, like just the respect they have. Can I, they it's just but you obviously they're kids. I mean, we're kids, right? So you can't really like, oh my God, they're not 25 years old. Okay, but the reality is that for their age, like, oh my gosh, well spoken. The way they treat others and treat people. They even with me, and when I interact with them, they shook my hand, like they give me a hug, like it just, I mean, just. It you wouldn't even know that they're homeschooled, like in a way, a lot of times people talk about homeschoolers, they don't have that social interaction. I think this is why that sense of community, when I think we go back to church, I think that kind of environment really helps that social interaction for them as well. But I think just you and just the way you develop and how you get them going, and the way your husband handles when things get rough, and just like, man, you guys make a really good team. Like in terms of like the full dynamic of things, do you feel like that last 12 years have obviously not everything goes to plan, but per se, has, man, looking back on that, do you feel like, man, this has actually worked out really, really well?
Yeah. I was thinking of that the other day where I'm like, wow, like it's just, I mean, everything, I don't want to say makes sense, but you see just amazing things in hindsight, when you're in the midst of it, it's just like, what is going on, But yeah, like our family, we have 3 biological kids and 2 adopted that we adopted from foster care, who are sisters. And that dynamic has been such like a blessing in our family. And it's come from just some hard stuff. I mean, in general, walking into the foster care system and having to just, grow and embrace the messiness of that, has, I mean, tried us to the core, I think, in some ways, having a young child just like screaming in your face because, they have like some emotional needs that are stemming from, just family stuff, and like that, and not taking that personal, but being a solid rock for them in that moment, like really takes some fortitude. And, we grew into that and just really learning to be there for them in the mess, and, so that is something that we felt God really called us to do, 8-9 years ago, and to look back and see, some people talk about God as the grand weaver, and how he just weaves, but you can't, when you see it being weaved, you can't tell what's going on. But in the end, when you look back, you're like, okay, like I see why he did that, So yeah, that's, I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you
I
answered it
just
perfectly.
went off.
No, absolutely. So I like to ask 2 different dynamics during this time. I think I had a gentleman on, and one of the things he likes to mention is that like kind of 3 chapters, right? One, when you become a woman, it feels like that transition from coming to here and this whole new environment, new world, you kind of entered into yourself. The second is when you become married, right? And the third is when you become a mother. Like the 3 trifecta kind of clicks together, and the dynamic between the last 12 years, you have now 5 beautiful children, and your marriage has lasted, especially in this kind of world, COVID and everything that's going on, people, economic, just the world, the way the world is. It feels like you guys had, and then again, another scenario, and I'm not trying to, like, this is just, I'm just trying to speak kind of the reality of things, you're not as close to your side of the family as well, but you do have his. And do you feel like that being in this